Frank J. Avella with The Contending. One of the most impressive films at this year's Tribeca Film Festival is Christian Nilsson's second feature, Westhampton, about a filmmaker who returns to his hometown searching for some kind of redemption. I'm pleased to have the gifted writer-director here today. Welcome, Christian.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate being here.
So, Christian, how's the festival been treating you?
This was exciting. This is a project that I've been working on since 2012, like actively pushing it up a hill every day since 2017. So to be able to premiere it in front of an audience and to be able to share a story that is really just like largely lived in my head or on a hard drive for this amount of time. I've been using the word surreal quite a bit, but I don't think of I can't think of a better or more appropriate word.
I love it. Well, I don't mind telling you, I've seen over 30 Tribeca films, and I really love this one. It's probably my favorite.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate you saying so. Yeah, I mean, you never know when you make a film when you're releasing it how audiences are going to respond. And yeah, we've been really fortunate that it seems that this is a film, despite how small it is, that it's making an impression on people, and that it's speaking to something almost universal that I think we all deal with or have dealt with at some point in our lives.
Well, I wrote in my review that the film, it left me wondering about the damaged people I encountered, back in high school, especially, who made some bad mistakes, and might have been searching for their own kind of absolution. Like I targeted a few people myself, so that's what the movie did for me.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think it's that point. Like, I think we all know individuals that became something of like local pariahs, right? And that or the thing of urban legend or topics of conversation. And I this is very much a film that centers on an individual that has that in common. Um, but yeah, and our hope was always to approach it in a really human and thoughtful way that would allow anybody, whether you've gone through this or not, to feel like you are going on this journey with Tom.
Well, and in the press notes, you mentioned the reality versus expectation approach. I wanted you to speak a bit about that and where the initial germ of the idea for Westhampton came from.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, really, that was the spark of inspiration for me. So, like, I grew up in the Hamptons, and when I often tell people that, like, it's always met with a reaction of like, "Ooh, the Hamptons." But for those that grew up there or around that area, it doesn't have that same shine that I think that people that vacation there in the summers might think it does. It's because it's very much a working class town, none more so than Westhampton. And so I really wanted to tell a story that played on that idea of reality versus expectation. And there was a very close friend of mine that had tragically died in a car accident when we were in high school. And I don't think that I had the tools to really wrap my mind around that experience or that really understand that incident when I was 16, 17, as I was going through it. But as I've gotten older, I think often about her and her family and the driver that was responsible for the accident that she was in. And as I've gotten older, I think about that individual more and more and how the person that survived that accident had to live with that and that they can't ask for forgiveness from the individuals whose lives he altered greatly and yeah and so that was very much top of mind in the creation of the story and then also in calling it Westhampton. Like, yes, that is, I grew up in a town called East Merches, which is a small little town right next to Westhampton, but I went to Westhampton High School. And I called it Westhampton because beyond being where I'm from, we all have a relationship to our hometown. It's something that feels familiar to us. Yet when we go there after long absences or time away, it feels more and more strange and us strangers within it. And so by calling it Westhampton, I was also able to play on that because I think people have that image of what the Hamptons are, and that's never how we present it. And so the Hamptons is this summer town. And so when we first are introduced to this character of Westhampton, it's very autumnal. It's very red and orange and yellow. It's none of the greens and blues that I think that we would normally associate with that community. And in doing so, we're also making you feel somewhat like a stranger in this place that you think that you have some sort of familiarity or understanding of.
There's also this notion of like going back home. I think all writers think that when they return home after they achieve some kind of success, yeah, well, what's the, reaction going to be like? Here it's undercut with a lot of guilt, and there are a lot of people that don't want him there.
Yeah, yeah, it's I can't say it was my experience of going home, but I also don't think I've ever achieved the level of notoriety that Tom Bell does when he goes home. But I was really moved by a book I read when I was younger, um, called "Look Homeward, Angel,"
Mm.
and "You Can't Go Home Again" by Thomas Wolfe, which is both books are about this idea of like somebody. Well, the first one is he Thomas Wolfe writes about going back home for the first time after for the first time in a long time, and is met with some kind of disdain because he wrote a book about that town.
Mm.
And then the second book is about he writes a book that's a little bit more meta from that, and that was something that also really inspired me so much so that that's where Tom gets his name from, from
Uh,
Thomas Wolfe. But yeah, it is something I think again, like talking to the universality of this story. We all have a relationship going back home, and it's probably is different for all of us, and I imagine it is. But yeah, it's not an easy relationship to navigate, at least not for me.
well, and you intercut Tom's present story with these scenes from the film within the film, and which is so much more frenetic than the actual film proper, which where the camera's like a lot calmer, a lot more stationary. I found that really, really fascinating. I was what? Can you speak a little bit about that?
Yeah, yeah. It was important to us that the two films felt that they were painted by two very different hands. And that yeah, that there was you never felt that Christian, the director, was making that black and white film, that it really felt of Thomas Bell. And yeah, and so that every decision we made in the creative approach had to speak to that duality. And so yeah, you mentioned the composition, the great what we called the greater film, the color film with Finn Whitrock. The camera can never move. It was a rule. The camera can only move. It moves only in two instances, which I'll touch on in a moment. But yeah, so the framing was always static. It was always wider, so that it almost felt more objective or more voyeuristic.
Mm.
Like we are watching Tom in this town. We are not Tom. Like I feel like most films really want you to feel like you are the main character going through this experience with them. I wanted to be a bit further away from Tom so that we're always watching him a bit more objectively, relating to him, but always watching him. But also in doing that, we're able to isolate him a bit more in the frame, really play on that, like the isolation and loneliness that he's dealing with. Also in the framing, we very often would put him in frames within the frame to kind of demonstrate that he was somewhat imprisoned by some of the situations that he's put himself in. And then other ideas like this, the sound is incredibly naturalistic. It's a very realistic approach to sound. Very little music. Most music is more diegetic. And then comparatively, what we called Thomas Bell's Westhampton, TBW,
Mhm.
that film was, like you said, frenetic. It's black and white. It's grainy. It's a lot of close-ups. It's almost entirely scored with music. And the dialogue, they're almost like always saying what they're feeling. And I don't want to use the word campy, but campy wouldn't be wrong
Mm.
in describing Thomas Bell's Westhampton. And then when they pop back and forth between them, it has this really clear delineation of the story that is being told, which I thought was really important. And something that I'll note that I'm really happy with the score and our composer Nicholas Marks. The two scores of those two films are quite different as well. And in the greater film, it's much more wind chimes, it's bells. I'd love to say it was because his name is Thomas Bell, but it actually has nothing to do with it. But we wanted it to feel somewhat nautical, but it was like bassy with these like wind chimes bells. And then in Thomas Bell's Westhampton, it's very much piano and strings. And the only two places that those two ideas merge is in that shot. I don't want to spoil anything, but where we are inside of a house and Tom is sitting on a porch with somebody that he had wronged when he was in high school. It's the only time that we hear the music that we've only heard of Tom in his isolation and the score from within his movie where he's engaging with this specific character in that world, and it's the only time those two pieces interact. And so all of that very purposeful, and I don't think it's something that people can spot or even identify when they're watching it. But my hope at least is that it's something that you feel when it's happening.
Oh, I think you do, and I think in that moment your two themes of forgiveness and redemption come together as well.
Yeah. That was definitely the hope. And then of course the last shot that again I don't want to go too far into because I don't want to spoil anything, but yeah, like very much that is the merging of these two worlds and the ideas that both of these films had investigated coming to a head and hopefully a beautiful and meaningful way.
I want to talk about this amazing ensemble that you assembled, starting with Finn Wittrock, who, has been doing consistently outstanding work. But I think here, I don't know, there was something about this performance where I was like, you know what, this is for me his real breakthrough. Was it your first choice? Um, how did you go about getting him and talk about working with him?
Yeah, I first off really appreciate that question and that framing of it. Finn is a really special actor. He's somebody that has always made an impression on me and his work. And his story with this film really begins in 2017 when we were in I would say very slow development of trying to get this project together. I had just done the rewrite, excuse me, of the script that the script that is probably the closest to what is on the page now. And I had already known that I wanted to cast an actor to play the role of Beth that lives in a similar circumstance. And so I had heard of a play on Broadway. It was a production of The Glass Menagerie that featured an actress named Madison Ferris, who uses a wheelchair. And so I saw that show with Madison in mind. Like I wanted to see her work. And Finn Whitrock is in that play as the gentleman caller.
Yeah.
And I had known Finn up until that point solely on his work in the Ryan Murphy universe. I recognized him instantly from films like La La Land and The Big Short as well. But I feel like my real familiarity with him at that point was American Horror Story. And seeing him in that play, there was a level of nuance and pain and stillness that I instantly identified as Tom. And yeah, it was after seeing that performance that I told my team of like, I really think Finn Wittrock is the actor that we want to go for this role. And through happenstance, one of our producers knew a producer that had worked with him on a different project. Within a week of that conversation, Finn had the script,
Wow.
was really taken by it, and yeah, and I would say by 2018 he was more or less attached to it. And we've tried to make the film a few times in between. We received and then lost funding in 2019. Tried to make the movie in 2020, but then the pandemic happened. And then yeah, then finally able to get all the pieces together in 2023 when we shot it in fall of 2023. But yeah, Finn has been a part of that ride with us for quite a long time. The only person that had been on it for longer was RJ Mitty.
Wow, interesting. I saw that production of Glass Menagerie, and again, Finn blew me away. He was incredible in it.
Yeah, I think anyone that is familiar with his work in theater, I don't think would be surprised to see him in Westhampton.
Yeah.
I think anyone that is more familiar with some of the flashier projects that he's been in, um, and I don't say it to take away from those projects at all, but you know what I mean, like bigger budgets, a bit shinier.
Yeah.
Um, they might be a little bit more surprised to see the breadth of what Finn is able to do.
Jake Weary, unbelievable.
Terrifying, huh?
Unbelievable. Yeah, terrifying, yet little bits of nuance here and there so that you can't hate him.
You can't hate him. I often think about how any other character would have also been interesting to center this film on, and Jiki would be an incredible. Like I would love to watch his version of this story unfold.
Yes.
Yeah, working with Jake, incredible. He was somebody that was attached when we were trying to make it back in 2019. And when we had put all the pieces together, was thrilled that he was down to continue on the journey with us. When he came on set for the day where we were doing the car scene, when we're doing like both when Finn gets kind of put into a cop car and we see him in the back of that car. Uh, we were doing a read through of it. I had always imagined the performance that Dickie has would be super intense. Like finding the lines to yell, finding because I just wanted to show that like this guy could really blow up and that there's instability in this confined space where this character has control.
Mm.
And Jake said to me, he's like, you know what? In the scene just before this, which I don't even think we had shot yet, he said, I throw him on the hood of the car and I'm pretty rough with him. And I know I want to really be intense with the last line of that scene. And I think that will show the audience how far this character can go. So in this next scene, I want to be super restrained and quiet because I think that's scarier when you know what somebody's capable of and they're not exercising it. And I think that was exactly right. That was the exact right choice. I remember. So we're an independent film, small budget. I'm in the trunk of that car with a monitor. So like when you look at Finn, like I'm just inches away from him in the trunk of the car on my back, um, and watching Jake's performance, I was just getting goosebumps. Like it really was something else. I learned probably more about working with actors in that single day of filming than I have in all the projects that I had made in the lead up to it. First off, just like when you write something, it is only half realized until somebody can breathe life into it. But when an individual that is as capable as Jake Weary is living in a character, uh, to default to their judgments of what is that character's reality. Uh, yeah, it's still it's a scene that I think about often when I think about this movie. And even when we were doing like the test edits of it, where we would like do it in sections, I would always be like, let's just get to the car scene. I just want to like, I want to watch that car scene one more time. Just because yeah, I think they're both just riveting in it.
There's so much love for the medium in this film. And also, I know it's a small budget, but I would have never known that you were scrappy on it because of the way it looks.
Yeah, I mean it's I appreciate that. Thank you. We knew what we were working with and we knew where we had to invest and where we didn't. Like, it's not a movie that has a lot of conventional coverage with the camera, like the like establishing shot, full shot, close up. Um, there were scenes like there's the scene with where Finn Whitrock Tom is talking to his high school teacher played by Tova Felcha,
Oh, who's so
and
great in it, by the way.
so great in it, an incredible actress to have on set. And uh, in that scene, you see the whole scene really take play out in this uh, single on Tova, and you see Finn in the reflection of the car window. There's no other footage of that scene. We didn't get another take of that scene. We didn't ever flip around to get the opposite angle of that. There was like even the wide shot, like it's not longer than what you see in the film. So we were incredibly economical about what we needed. And so there were even times where Finn would look at me and say, "Are you sure that you don't want to hear me say these lines? Like you like I'm here. I'm in costume. You don't want to just aim the camera at my face to capture me saying this line." And I would just say, "I know I don't need it." Like I had I feel like our team had lived with this film in our heads for such a long amount of time that we knew what the film was, how it was going to be edited even before we were shooting it. So yeah, I think there was a point where some of the actors would say to us, like, I don't like, are you sure that we're doing this right? But then on the other side of that, when Finn first saw the film, his first comment to us was, "I think you guys did know what you were doing." It's like, yeah, we're sorry we scared you, but yeah, we knew what we were aiming for.
Wow. So you're a lot more Clint Eastwood than you are David Fincher, basically, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, I guess. But yeah, but also like this, even the styles in which we were filming this, there were a lot of filmmakers whose work inspire me, and because of the differing aesthetic of those two films, I was able to incorporate that in hopefully exciting ways.
So Christian, do you guys have distribution yet?
We are working with a sales agent, but we do not yet have a distribution. That's hopefully very close on the horizon for us.
Okay, well, yeah, I mean it has to get distribution. My last question to you, you talked a little bit about having cinematic heroes. Can you speak a little bit about who from the past or who presently has inspired you?
Yeah, I think anyone that watches this film, I think would probably see some of those inspirations in the frame. Chantal Ackerman is somebody that whose work I love. And whenever somebody would say to me, like, "I think the pace needs to be faster," I was like, "No, it doesn't." Like watch a Chantal Ackerman film. This is Michael Bay in comparison. Like we're slowing it down. Michelangelo Antonioni is another one. Our The ending of our film is very much inspired by my love of Fellini. Um, uh, Anything by Ozu. And then I would say the black and white film very much inspired by indie auteurs of like the late 90s, like an Alex Ross Perry, um, Christopher Nolan's the Following, Wes Anderson's original short Bottle Rocket. Um, a lot of yes, thinking about like filmmakers who were able to launch their careers off of very micro budget projects were the inspiration of that black and white film. But yeah, it's Robert Bresson is another one that
Hmm.
I think whenever I think of like the sound design in the film, I think Bresson is somebody that pops to mind. But yeah, I mean, I still think of myself as a film student, and I'm always thrilled to discover new directors and new voices, old voices that maybe I just never came across. But yeah, I'm definitely a sucker for the medium.
I can tell, and I'm not surprised you said Fellini because I felt quite a bit of Fellini actually in it, and I'm not just talking about eight and a half.
Yeah.
Uh, well, Christian, thank you so much for taking the time out to speak with us. Can't wait for this movie to get distribution so that we can push it even further and have fun at the rest of the festival.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, tomorrow, Saturday the 14th is our final screening, and I'm gonna try to absorb as much of it as I can.
Fantastic. Have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you.